This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
This is Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Here now, Tony Brueski.
According to Lacoste, Charlie wasn't shy about voicing how much he despised Dan. It wasn't just those little comments here and there. He says it wasn't just those offhanded grumblings. It was repeated, blunt, and said with a lot of venom, words you do not easily forget. Let's take a look.
Fiercely protective of Wendy. And I've heard him say, I'd like to kill that motherfucker. I mean, I've heard him say that so many times. I've said that out loud too, and I didn't do it. But there's something different about Charlie. He reminds me of like an antisocial.
Charlie's an older brother?
Yeah.
She's the baby girl?
She's the baby girl.
Is Charlie older or younger than this one up in Albany?
He's the middle kid, I think.
Charlie is?
Yeah. If you had him in front of you, he'd set off your alarm bells.
Ooh, that's powerful.
People say that stuff all the time, though. I gotta kill him. I'm gonna kill him. You know, not in
my world.
I want to say I've heard people.
How much it's going to cost either. You just go, oh my God, I'm so mad, I'm going to kill you.
When you get into cost, when you get into cost benefit analysis, that's where it changes.
It just shows the stupidity of these people. How many times, Tony, have we seen these people like this that are, because you're always thinking, well, it's definitely premeditated because you hired someone, but how much intelligence did you have to actually do something stupid like lay the groundwork for people to say, you know, like Dr. Jeff did. As soon as he heard this, his first thought was, "Oh, it's Charlie."
I mean,
if you're doing a good job of trying to take out your sister's ex-husband because he's this horrendous person according to you, and you're trying to battle for the kids, the last thing you want to do is lay all the pebbles. You're not just laying breadcrumbs, you're paving an entire road right to yourself. I mean, the fact he even thought he could get away with this when there's so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, you got an ex-boyfriend, and she was dating how many other boyfriends that she's probably sharing the same information with, according to Dr. Jeff, who felt like a jilted lover.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you did.
Well, I mean, what does it say too about Charlie and about the ego of these people, that they feel the need to say these things out loud for the immediate gratification of those around them without in any way, shape, or form thinking about how could this come bite me in the ass? Like if this does happen, and I just told all these people that I looked into this. I mean, there's no thought pattern beyond the immediate, and the immediate, this must make me feel good right now. I'm going to say it. It makes me puff out my chest, and look, I'm protecting my sister, and I'm saying this in front of the boyfriend. There's no thought that there could be any repercussions from saying these things out loud that are very, very damning. I mean, this is not just like, hey, I'm going to go slash his tires, or I got a friend who's going to do that. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to find him as someone who's going to kill him. I'm looking into it financially, how to get this done. No thought. And that, to me, I mean, it's kind of baffling considering how far Charlie did get in life. He was a doctor. I mean, that takes a little bit of school, a little bit of common sense.
So no one in his life to this point have challenged him on the things he said.
Yeah.
It's pretty, and you said it right when you stated it, Tony, and that is, if he has a lifetime of reps of being unfiltered and no one has pushed back to the degree that it impacted him of his unfiltered, stupid mouth, then he's going to feel completely safe to say those things. And where else have we seen this? What other case recently of a big notoriety person who's got even a boatload more money than Charlie? Diddy.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, these people live in their own world where it is their own universe. And when you live in your own universe, you feel very safe in your own universe. And you don't realize that outside an extremely small circle of people, the rest of the world thinks you're a nutter and they're going to get you. So, and people fall into that trap, and because unhealthy behaviors really become insular like this. And so, but to themselves, they thought they're completely healthy and completely normal. They thought the rest of the world's all screwed up. And so that's why he felt completely safe. Although I'm giving him more credit than I should in the fact that he thought about it before he said it. He didn't. He's got zero impulse control.
And it seems like Donna doesn't have much impulse control either. So you're kind of, I'm going, oh, well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's not hard to understand Charlie's actions when you look at the impulsivity and neuroticism of Donna.
Yeah, no kidding. And she raised her kids to do the same thing. So Charlie, according to Dr. Jeff, has 3 girlfriends at any one time. And it sounded like Wendy did too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think it's that they need that constant validation from outside sources?
Oh, yeah.
That's what feeds borderlines. That's what feeds narcissists. It's all the image. It's feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. And when you're not getting that constant feedback, they feel dead, basically.
And very skilled. So it'd be interesting too. So we heard on the reverse side with Charlie about this horrendous side we saw when his guard might have been down where he felt more comfortable because he's surrounded by people in his control sphere. But he is a dentist. He did have a practice. And so I'm not sure because I don't know, but I would have conjecture that he was probably had the potential to be extremely charismatic outside of his sphere of control and feeling safe, because he would have to have been to get through dental school, to get through education, to have a clientele and all these things. Because the only thing I'm thinking of, well, Wendy's extremely charismatic. She attracted people to her all the time because that's what Dr. Jeff saw with not just himself, but all the other guys. As a matter of fact, he was so concerned about anything he's saying coming out, just in case she wants to get back together with him. Mm-hmm. I'd imagine that, like you said, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. When you're outside of where Charlie felt safe and he felt like he had to manipulate the world as great sociopaths and psychopaths have to do, he might have been and come across very charismatic and very invigorating to some people.
Yeah, no, I see that. When news of Dan's murder broke, detectives asked LaCase who he suspected. His answer? Well, it was pretty instant. He says the very first person who came to mind within seconds of hearing it was Wendy's brother, Charlie. Here's how he described that.
Do you mean this isn't a botched burglary or something like that? He's the first Charlie popped into my head within 20 seconds of hearing this.
Wow.
Boom. There's your answer.
That's called a mic drop moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think something like that would be, it's him. If that's the first thing, and you just touched on it, Robin, sir, if that's the first thing that's coming to your mind, I'm going to just, accuracy, usually those first thoughts can be pretty accurate.
Now you just explore what makes you say that.
Yeah.
Not why, because why can be very subjective to people, but you say what did you observe that allowed you to say that inspired you to say that? And then you just go like I thought these interviewers were really good, except the one guy that just kept getting called, and that was just really distracting. Mm-hmm. But as interviewers, I thought they did a really good job of being very pragmatic, very objective, just the facts, man, but at the same time balancing out with rapport that they needed, because they got a lot of details from him. Now, granted, he was extremely compliant. He was all on board with being helpful and useful. Which is also interesting because it was interesting watching him absolutely hate Charlie, but absolutely adore Wendy. Yeah.
When he also knows the toxicity of Wendy, which I found, it's like he was wooed by her feminine wilds. He couldn't resist the Wendy Adelson. LaCase also painted a picture of Charlie as a man who bragged about bending the rules. Again, this speaks, I think, a lot more to what we were talking earlier about Charlie and the family in general. They don't know when to shut up. They're sitting in the hot tub one night together, and he's sitting there talking about life and money and hiding money and moving assets around and putting things in other people's names, like you do when you're relaxing in the hot tub. Take a look.
Myself in the hot tub one time. A few things Wendy said.
When was this?
March 15th-ish. I was there for the one day with him. I stayed at his house.
Of this year?
Yes. Wendy and him were talking. I'm just listening. I just met him an hour earlier. We're sitting in the hot tub having a beer. It's a really nice house. And I guess this is what occurred.
Was anybody else in the hot tub with you guys?
Not during this part of the conversation. Another guy, his roommate, came in eventually, and they just started to talk about girls and stuff like that. But and I'm not trying to play cop here, but I do know one thing you'd be looking for is a lump sum of money moving around and some kind of crazy stuff happened. And I think there's a lot of financial irregularities. I think there's a lot of tax fraud kind of stuff, putting stuff in different people's names and moving money around. And there might be cash. I don't know exactly what, but he's not doing anything on the up and up when it's finances. It was pretty clear. It's pretty open about that. So I thought about if you guys.
I think a forensic accountant might be in order.
I think there might be a whole other line of charges here.
Oh, no doubt.
That should be looked at. I would imagine by now. Do you think the IRS has done an audit on the Adelsons by now, Robin?
So following the money is always what they're going to do in these things. So anything having to do with that is definitely under investigation or has been or still ongoing.
Yeah.
No doubt whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, that says a lot. I mean, the fact that they're sitting there, but it also makes me wonder, and this would be just pure speculation. What other crimes is this family behind, if any? I don't know, but it seems like they were pretty, easy to do this and move some money around, or is this grandstanding? Is this because it was new and it was exciting and Charlie got to be kind of the bad guy for a little bit, that he was so verbose about it and speaking about it like he's some sort of made man in a very foolish way, like one would do who has zero experience in this type of world?
Yeah, to me, it sounds like shock impact, for the new guy, the new boyfriend that shows up and to be the big guy. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to other crimes the family may or may not have done, they kind of strike me as the group that kind of has a decent idea, because there's lawyers in the family, of where that gray line is, and they kind of ride that gray line. So remember that, as we've said numerous times, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's ethical. And I think they probably did a lot of things like that.
Good point.
I'm curious, at what point, you don't just wake up one day and go, we're going to kill somebody. So I think there had to have been an escalation. Does that seem like a fair assessment, that they've just been doing this stuff forever and this was maybe the next step?
I think there was probably a triggering event. So if we look at, because definitely an escalation, that's why this was such a great interview to watch. It gave me a lot of different context. This was definitely an escalation of frustration with the family as a whole, including Wendy, because I was really curious about what she thought about this, or where she's being bullied by the mother and Charlie to divorce this guy. But according to the ex-boyfriend, this was an escalation that the family was having an issue with because of him. And I'm guessing there was a triggering event. There's usually a triggering event. And when you have someone like Charlie, and probably think all of them, that are having a hard time with emotional regulation, that he, as you said, he probably didn't wake up one morning and said, I'm just going to kill the guy. Maybe. So he might have just had this epiphany of not being able to get what he wanted. I keep trying, because you can imagine him. So here's this guy who's an absolute control freak, a mother who's an absolute control freak, and everything they're trying is not working. For the first time in their lives, they haven't been able to bully someone into what they want. And so it probably reached that point, maybe even together, where they work themselves up so much, because that's why she's on trial, work themselves up too much. Well, screw it. I'll just hire a hitman.
Yeah.
It's your time to fly, Charlie, I think is kind of what it was looked at from the perspective of Donna, if we're going to assume that she is behind it. Just same way, Wendy, you have to put on the performance of your life. Like, it's time for you guys to stand up on yourselves and manipulate the world around you the same way me and Father have for all of this time. That's kind of what it feels like in some of this. A triggering event, I think it was Dan. It was Dan finally saying, I'm done with your BS. I'm taking this to court, and I'm getting this order against your mom that says that she can't have any contact with the kids. I think that was a triggering event. I think that's what made Donna go to Charlie and, I can't sleep. I just need this. And then Charlie's going to Catherine. My mom can't sleep. I don't know what's going to happen. And she's like, well, have her start writing me some checks. And we'll take care of the problem. And they're like, problem solved.
Yeah, and when it comes to Wendy, because again, when you're seeing their family communication dynamic, and also how, and even Dr. Jeff said that they protect her, they don't exclude her. And so my thought process is, I can imagine that they were having these conversations not intentionally around her, but not intentionally excluding her, but just not including her. And so kind of like she was aware that Charlie thought this because he said it in her presence. The probability of her not being shocked that this happened, because one thing she knew it, but also kind of the details, she probably, not probably, who knows? I could imagine that she was aware of what was going on as soon as she saw like checks being passed, things being said, she walked away. I don't want to be included. Or they said, hey, you know, like, hold on a second, Wendy, why don't you go take care of the kids? So you can kind of see one of those things where it's not a huge covert op, because these people are incapable of covert ops outside this family dynamic. I mean, inside the family dynamic. And so that's why I think it was a very fluid situation internally.
Then how much responsibility does she bear if she knew about it?
Isn't it?
I mean, if she had nothing to do with the planning, but she also didn't go to the police and say, hey, my family's planning on killing my ex-husband either. I mean, that seems to be the part that she's left to bear. Knowledge of it. Yeah, I mean, that's something. I mean, it's like I'm trying to think of some sort of analogy here. It's like going into the mall food court and knowing that they're selling orange chicken over there, but you don't want to get too close because they're going to come up to you with a sample and you don't want to have this. You just want to keep going.
Why you got to go to the food?
But you know the sample's over there and you can smell the orange chicken and you know it's there, but you're not going to partake in the orange
Damn it,
chicken.
Tony.
Yeah.
So I think what's the challenge with that is how do you prove it?
Yeah.
So if there's no text messages, there's no voice overhears, and no one's admitting to it, how do you prove it? So
yeah,
and that's the challenge.
Because she's been around this family before, because she's had these conversations with this family before. But the fact that the conversations exist, does that mean that she was in on it? I guess that's the thing.
But I don't know the law in Florida. You know, what's your culpability of knowledge without doing something about it?
Exactly.
I know there's some, but I'm not quite. Again, it's going to come down to the prosecutor and what they think they can go for and prosecute. And so again, what is striking me of if the mother cared so much about the family, she would have taken the fall for everyone, including at this point. Like we've said the other day, Tony. If she gets on the stand and says, it's all me, no one knew anything, I dictated this entire thing, and she just owns it, that would actually rally everyone in the family around her instead of, you know, kind of having leakage all over the place of what they really think or coming to discover about her. And so, but I don't think she's going to do that. I think she's going to go up and try to be her doppelganger.
Do you think she's going to go up on that stand and like throw everyone to the wolves? Like Wendy knew this.
I don't have any data. I would love to. I haven't really seen her speak too much. And so I want more of her because it's hard to really kind of get in her shoes unless I've seen more of her shoes. That's good.
Because it feels like that's a weird sentence.
Right?
Hard to get in her shoes.
More of her. I was just watching Mindhunter last night, and it was what's his name? Who was obsessed with women's shoes.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Anyway, but it does make you wonder what she's capable of, because I think everybody is treading a bit lightly around Donna right now, because she has power. She does. As much as she doesn't, she does. And she has the power to incriminate every single person in that family and put them behind bars for the rest of their lives. Just by going up there and saying whatever she wants. And I think they know that, except for the one son that got away. He's the only one I think that's safe. But everybody else, I think she could obliterate Charlie's appeal chances more than he already doesn't have them. But I think she could also put Charlie behind put Harvey behind bars, and Wendy.
Maybe even unintentionally, because she's so stupid.
Yeah, either or. I mean, I could see her trying to play it off as like, oh, oops, did I say that? Kind of Steve Urkel-ish.
I don't think she would, though. No, because when you keep going. Boy, it's easy to kind of put evil acts on people from the outside looking in, but internally they don't see themselves as evil, bad people. So think about this. From what we learned from Dr. Jeff, they see themselves as these righteous warriors trying to do the best thing they possibly can against this pure evil person, Dan, the ex-husband, to save these children. They all thought that's the crusade they're on And the mother is shocked that no one's going along with that mindset.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're there to betray each other, because they were very unified in the fact that they're trying to save these children. Again, their mindset. That's how they rationalize this abhorrent behavior. That's why when Charlie woke up one morning saying, "Hey, I got a great idea," the mother's like, "Huh, that might be
Let's
pretty good."
go to Showbiz Pizza and have lunch, Charlie. I know you're 38, but you can go in the ball tank and play around and ride the merry-go-round. And
go get your little sister.
Yeah, go get her too. I know she's 30-something, but let's all go together. Yeah. Hold hands. We'll wear the same jumpsuits that we got at Kmart. Charlie,
same ones in jail.
I bet those are the folks that would go get like the American flag jumpsuits and wore them proudly, to the 4th of July picnic in 1992. They're all like,
what's wrong with that?
Yeah. Charlie wasn't just a wealthy dentist with a Ferrari. LaCase told detectives he also surrounded himself with men who lived on the other side of the tracks, including, he said, a special forces buddy with military experience, the kind of people who could make things happen. Here's Charlie grandstanding now.
Her brother is an unusual guy. Not much empathy. He's a dentist and he's very wealthy, but he kind of hangs out with people from both sides of the tracks. And, he goes partying in South Beach with his rich buddies, and he also goes to his gym with some other kinds of characters kind of thing. So
some less savory individuals.
I think so. Yeah, he's got a buddy who was special forces.
Okay. You talked about a couple of guys. You talked about Miguel and the Patel individual. And you said there was 3 or 4 total.
I'm just trying to think. Hold on. That might be it, actually. But yeah, Daniel. That was 3. Daniel Sack. I can't imagine any of those people had anything to do with this. But those people that were... don't know anything about Sack's relationship. Miguel and who will definitely really into Wendy, obviously.
So he's hanging out with not the nicest folks.
It's fine. I just love Dr. Jeff. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yeah. Not the nicest folks in the world. Folks on both sides of the tracks, according to him. I guess I'd like to know more about that pattern of behavior. Was Charlie always hanging with the folks that, were on the other side of the tracks, according to Jeff? Or was this something that he had to kind of wade into to try and make mom happy by getting connections that were not necessarily ones that we're going to make at the country club?
Well, that's a really good question. Whether that's a new pattern or an established pattern, I would think he had been doing that much of his life because otherwise he wouldn't be so comfortable doing it. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Jeff strikes me as a guy, he would have picked up on whether Charlie was comfortable doing it in this kind of situation. He probably would have highlighted it because Dr. Jeff seems pretty observant of people's behavior and changes in those patterns. And so to him, it seemed completely natural and normal for Charlie to do that. I think he would have given some sort of inclination that Charlie didn't feel quite comfortable doing it. He seemed a little awkward in his own language and his own body. I mean, so there'd be he would notice something with his behavior when talking about those people or those situations. But it seems, again, I don't have that history of Charlie strong enough to know that. But my guess is he's been doing that and hanging out with people from all over a long period of time. Also because, so glass half full here, they seem to, with the exception of killing Dan, that they're making an attempt to, from maybe a kind of twisted, of not judging, because I mean, the behavior by Charlie seems pretty open to others. Again, it's part of his dynamic of controlling others, but at the same time, he seemed comfortable around him. So what makes someone feel comfortable is like you can identify with them. And it wasn't just shady people, because as Dr. Jeff was saying, they're from all different walks of life. So he's got other people that are making high money. He's got people that are military. He's got people that are actually hit killers. I mean, hitmen. I mean, so it was kind of eclectic and all over. So I'm really kind of curious as to how Charlie identified with all these other people with all these different varied backgrounds. There's something about them that he was attracted to, and I'd be curious what that pattern was.
I'm going to guess Charlie and maybe even Wendy to a certain extent both have struggled with their own identities because they've been extensions of mom.
They don't
for
have
so
them.
long. You don't have them. So, I mean, there's like a very thin sense of what that is. Not like to the level of like Brian Koberger not having any clue, but just not. But when you're enmeshed with a narcissistic parent, yeah, I mean, you're not that's something you're not allowed to have is your own personality. You got to be an extension of that person. And then as you get older into adulthood, some break off and some do not. One of the most haunting sequences here, Lacasse described the last time he saw Wendy alive before the killing, a yoga class, an awkward goodbye, an email from her therapist hours later telling him not to contact her. And then just 3 days after that, Dan Markel was murdered. Take a look at this.
So Tuesday night we go to yoga, really awkward, most awkward yoga I've ever had. And then we walk to the car and I said, "Well, have you Wendy?" She goes, "I know, need some time." I said, "Okay." And I get an email with a no contact order 2 hours later. I think her therapist suggested she do this. I think her therapist, my suspicion is that Wendy told her one side of the story and I was cast as the abusive male because Danny is not good to her and she's on the lookout for an abusive male. Danny was emotionally abusive. Anyway, I get this email saying, "Don't contact me for 7 days and then I'll get in touch," which I was not happy about. But it was a control grab for me. Let's just talk or just break up with me, But anyway, so Wednesday, Thursday, hear nothing. She posts those pictures on Facebook with her boobs hanging out, and people are telling me she's messing with you on the internet. I don't know if that was true or not. And then Friday, so I haven't heard from her. She's was supposed to contact me tomorrow. I don't think
How do you know she was supposed to contact
you? She said 7 days.
Okay, so that thing, the email.
Yeah, it's also contact you in 7 days.
So that you think that's something her therapist recommend her do to give her time to think?
That's my guess.
Let the air clear a little bit.
That's my guess. If you Google it, it's how you break up with an emotionally abusive guy. Keep yourself 7 days away from him so he can't convince you to stay. So that's what I saw when I Googled it because I never heard of this. No girl's ever done that. That's bizarre, right? I mean, anyway, so that was 3 days later. This happens. Danny gets shot.
I would put money that Jeff is exactly right. That she's painted this guy to be a certain character to her therapist. And then the therapist gives, okay, here's the directive of what you should do. And that has nothing to do with the actual person, but it's the way you've painted them. So that person's giving you directive on how to deal with something over here that's not actually there.
Yeah. Part of me that was also saying, was this Charlie giving her direction? Because I know part of the theory here were they getting ready to pin it on Dr. Jeff? I
think they were trying to. Yeah. I think it was a very loose, dumb plan.
Yeah. And so I could definitely see that playing out, like Charlie saying, "Hey, here's what I need you to do. Break contact with this dude now because we're going to try to pin it on him."
Yeah. And tell your therapist that I would love to get those notes. I think that could be, I don't know if you can subpoena that because, you have a murder involved here.
Yeah, I would think you could.
I mean, I think that goes into mandatory reporting at that point.
Right.
So I'd be very curious about those notes if they were to look closer into Wendy, because that would be extreme. That would probably answer all the questions of, what was she aware of and when. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, because you get that phone call from Wendy all those days later, which does end up happening. And where were you at this time? What about this time there? And it puts him where he would have been close to the murder scene, or where they did this conversation before the murders took place. And then they had the hitmen go to those areas. So this is their dumbass plan. It was simply find out where he's going to be, and then let's have them go there. Then we can say it was him. Problem solved. I mean, it's like
it just really shows how people like this think. They think everyone else is completely stupid and they're the only smart people in the world.
It's Sesame Street murder plotting. I mean, it's
like you said, it's Bugs Bunny, man.
It really is. When it came to Wendy's family, Lacasse said they weren't just close, they were suffocating. This is a really interesting one. He described parents who still chauffeured her around at age 35, a family that treated her like a child, and an unhealthy grip that kept her tethered to South Florida. This explains a lot. Take a look.
family, it's important that you know this actually, man. The family is so unhealthily enmeshed, so completely enmeshed, that Wendy is not really an adult. When she drives to South Florida, every single time those two parents drive up here and drive with her down. They don't trust her to drive from Tallahassee to Miami. They're just, it's not a normal family. It's not like she's a 35-year-old that has 2 kids and come back to see us. It's complete enmeshment. It's a matter of they didn't infantilize her. She's considered the baby still. She's 35 years old. Charlie protects her.
You see how powerful she was, though? So even he knows it. He recognizes it. So I'm always amazed when people recognize unhealthy, yet they make the choice to stay.
Sure.
And still has hope of being let back into that circle of crazy. So,
and the sad part is, I think it's because so many of us have had crazy in our life that for some reason, unconsciously, a lot of us, it's like, well, it feels comfortable.
I was just going to say, it's comfortable. It's what you've done for 20 years. It's what you do.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's, even though we're very good at identifying it in other people, we're not the greatest at identifying it always in our own lives.
He was, though, and he still
was, though. Yeah,
that's why he is so comical to me. He's become my favorite character in this entire thing.
He is such a.
I would call him sad because he's got this dry wit about him. He doesn't even realize he's doing it. Like the listening to him, like, do you realize how ludicrous you're sounding?
Yeah, and she's
good for the show.
You're almost, I wonder how much the relationship there was like, I almost just want to get back into it just to watch more and just see what happens. I didn't even care.
I wanted it. And the funny thing to me, so this just happened and he's still hopeful she's going to call him. Dude, you should run fast and far.
Yeah,
and
they're
like,
trying.
She's still going to call me. There's still a 1% chance we'll get back together.
They're trying to frame you for murder.
You want into this family? What's wrong with you?
Something must have been really good for him to still have.
Imagine the book you could write.
So that's why I'm not discounting Charlie's skill set, because, like we said, they learned it all from her.
Mm-hmm.
So Donna created these two. And so she's got the skill set. Obviously, this guy is living proof of it, and he's talking about how she's using it with everyone. Just looking at her on the stand, you can get a sense of it. Mm-hmm. But now, so as they're painting Charlie behind the scenes, it's hard to imagine that, because they seem like apples and oranges. They look so differently, but probably not. So he's probably got the skill set. But he just flips it on and off. I just think it's her natural state of being, that she just learned how to, Wendy learned how to just live as a grand manipulator of the world around her for feeling safe and control and all those things that she was lacking.
I imagine there's a lot of confusion in the world of Wendy these days. Just as a human being, just trying to ground herself into who the hell she is, especially now that she hasn't been in contact with mom for a couple years. That's not there. Charlie's gone. All you got is, that's incredibly jarring. Take all the murder out of it. There's got to be a lot of confusion. That's
older brother.
Yeah.
That's why you have the older brother now.
There's a lot of therapy going on in that family, or there should be if there isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how much of that happens behind bars. Probably not a lot, but yeah.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.